Hi everyone, welcome back. Well, as promised, we would be back, and we have decided that we are going to talk about some of the things that can impact our weight losses, haven't we, Jane?
Yeah, definitely. So tell me then, Zoe, how did you sleep last night?
Well, so I've got a Samsung Galaxy Watch, so I've got my phone out. I'm looking last night. So my actual sleep time was 4 hours, 27 minutes. And I think that may have been after the dog woke me up, to be fair. He wanted to go out. He was barking. He wanted to go out for a wee. But sort of like looking at the breakdown, I don't get deep sleep. I have got 0 minutes deep sleep. What about you, Jane?
Well, I wear a Garmin watch, so I think there's been a discrepancy on mine, because mine tells me that last night I had 9 hours and 34 minutes sleep. Absolutely did not. However, you know, looking at it, I don't have deep sleep either. My REM sleep is very long. I have a lot of REM sleep, and that apparently we found out, haven't we? That's when you dream.
Yes, absolutely.
So many things affect our sleep, don't they? Very.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my weight used to really affect my sleep. I used to be a lot worse. I mean, I've always been somebody who is up ridiculously early, even on the nights when I used to go night clubbing, and I'd be home at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd still only sleep in till like 8:30, 9 o'clock, because then the next day what I'd need to do is go to bed early to catch up. And that's the way I've always been. I'm such an early bird. I really am.
Do you do anything to relax before you go to bed?
I try and read. I've got my Kindle. Mark's terrible. We've got a TV in the bedroom, and he has to go to sleep to TV. I love it when we go away and we don't have a TV in the room. It's
because they do say, don't they, that all gadgets and things can really kind of like, you need to turn them off.
Yeah.
They say at least an hour before you sleep.
Yeah. Well, that definitely doesn't happen in my house. Definitely doesn't happen. And it's like, you know, like we were talking last week in groups about, you know, like our less conscious self-sabotage traps. You know, tiredness is one of my things. It always has been, and it always will be. You know, if I'm tired, so much goes out the window. You know, it's like having a hangover. You know, all those plans of like going doing exercise and things like that just go out the window. You know, your plans to stand there and cook a meal, it goes out the window, you know. And I used to work nights, and that I've never actually, I don't think, ever got over properly, because it's like I used to come home in the morning, make myself a cup of tea, not have anything to eat during the day, then, you know, I'll be snoozing on the sofa. It wouldn't help if I went to bed. I never got proper sleep. You know, it didn't work for me. I did that for 5 years, and I'd say it's really affected my sleep patterns.
I never, I was the same actually, Zoe. I couldn't cope with nights at all, because I just would never sleep in the day, no matter how, you know, I need a darkened room.
Yeah.
For one thing. So, you know, but mine wouldn't shut off, because the boys were younger, and, you know, and so I knew I had to get up, and knew I had to pick them up from school, and all that would still be sort of like going around my head, and I just couldn't relax.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've been on Lifeline Online, haven't we, Jane? And we've found this, because this is how sleep can really impact. And do you know what? This is completely me. This is so me. So my normal day is I can be up at like 5 in the morning, quite routinely. It's 5 or 6 mostly, but it can be sort of earlier. So, you know, my days really are long.
Yeah.
You know, and I went through a stage, didn't I, Jane? I spoke to you about it, where what I was doing is I was getting up and routinely having breakfast, whatever time I was up. So it could be 4:30, it could be 5 o'clock, it could be 6 o'clock. And I'm having breakfast. And then like sort of during the morning, I'm hungry. So I was like, I was really struggling, wasn't I, with, you know, sort of being on plan, because then the tiredness kicks in, because, you know, it's like it says on here, you do feel hungrier. I've said that to you before, you know.
Yeah, you do. Well, it's, you know, you've got those, you've got your, you know, an imbalance in your hormones, and of course, the cortisol is the hormone that we release when we're stressed as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got those neurotransmitters that regulate our appetite, and causing us, you know, to more likely be less active because we're too tired to do anything.
Yeah, and it's like
that vicious cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, and just reaching for convenient food. That's the thing. It's convenient food.
Yeah.
With me, I wouldn't even say it's the high fat sugar foods that I'm craving or anything like that. It's the convenience. That's the big difference. It's the convenience. So of course you gain weight, don't you? You know, we're not on plan. So we are gaining weight. And then just further down here, it explains about the different stages of sleep, doesn't it? And this is what we were talking about with our
little recordings that we have on
for sleep. So, you know, stage 1 lasts around 7 minutes and is very light sleep. And it's the point where you're easily woken up. You know, stage 2 is, you know, between 12 and 15 minutes of deeper sleep. So we might experience that sudden falling sense. I hate that feeling. That sudden falling,
you feel like you're falling off the cliff.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Don't you go, oh,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What's the matter? What's happened? I go, well,
no, absolutely. And, you know, it's like the stages 3 and 4, you know, bring more restorative
to restore our bodies.
Yeah, so the muscles relax, you know, gives hormone levels time to replenish and things like that. So it's a 30-minute period. So I wonder, would that be the deep sleep that we're looking at?
Maybe it is. So maybe I'm not doing so bad then on 23 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. And then we've already mentioned, haven't we, the rapid eye movement. So this is, you know, when the brain is very active. So it's where your eyes flick behind your eyelids, basically. But it can be the stage where, you know, you are dreaming.
I do a lot of dreaming. Well, I'm a bit of a yawn, terribly. Absolutely dreadful. Yeah, terrible. I'm very much a daydreamer as well. So, yeah, very much so. I can, you know, sometimes, you know, I mean, it's been questioned about having mild epilepsy. But I just had the ability to cut myself off and go into like a few trances. So, but that's just me. There's no surprises there, is there? Let's be honest. But yeah, I mean, anxiety, you know, and I talk quite openly about, you know, my worries and things, you know, and at night, I always think that, you know, your worries seem so much bigger, don't they, at night time. In the morning, when you wake up, they don't feel half as bad, but I think at night time, you know, if you are a worrier and if you do have anxiety, and boy, we've had something to be anxious about, haven't we, this last year, what with you know, it's caused us to have lack of sleep, with worrying, anxious about catching the virus, anxious about financial worries as well, because, you know, some people have been, you know, not knowing whether they'll have a job after when they come out of all this, and it's been really, really scary, hasn't it?
Yeah. And actually, sleep behind a lot of, you know, all sorts of problems, like being anxious, like being depressed, maybe even grieving, you know, sort of being worried about what is going on in the world, being worried about work. You know, people are now starting to go back to work, aren't they? So, you know, worries come there. But actually, what does happen? We don't sleep. it all leads to it, doesn't it? There are reasons why we don't sleep very well, and you know, it can be sort of really quite harmful to us, can't it? Definitely. With our journeys, and you know, and that, and you know, it is one of those things. And I, you know, I always know, like, my weight kept me held back, so I did have a lot of problems with depression and things like that. I was on medication for so many years, and you know, actually eating more healthier helped me sleep better, even though I'm still not great, but trust me, that's a big improvement to what I used to be. But it's helped me come off that medication, because I can think clearer. I can, you know, I am healthier. I've got that confidence, which is also a big thing, isn't it?
Feeling better about yourself and learning to deal with emotions in a different way.
Yes.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because, you know, I too was on medication for up until sort of like 12 years ago when I lost my weight. So yeah, it's learning and thinking about how you can change those things around. And all that can help, can't it? With too. You know, and we're going to talk about this next week, aren't we? We're going to touch on alcohol, but of course that as well, you know, some people will say, well, I'll have a little nightcap, but we know that, you know, if you do use substances and things like that to help sleep, that you don't actually get a refreshing sleep from that, and that's quite common knowledge, that, you know, it's not good sleep that you go into. So yeah, there's so many different things about that. But I mean, sort of like, sometimes it's removing all electronic gadgets that you might be looking at, screens and things like that. Lavender is a real good, you know, actually burning some lavender oil beforehand. And they can also say that, you know, if you've got little children that don't sleep as well, obviously do it safely. But again, it's that preparation. If you've got children that won't go to bed and won't go to sleep, that start to play up beforehand, because they are they are sleep thieves, aren't they? To
us, just a little. Actually, it doesn't get much better when they get older, to be fair. Give us more worries.
Tell me about it. They do really do. Oh, the worst thing talking about that really was when my boys started to drive the car, you know, and when they passed their test, because they were both fortunate they passed the first time. And we lived in quite a remote village, and I was having palpitations about them going out, you know. It was the first time actually that I went out with Oliver when he was when he was learning to drive, and I was sat in the passenger seat, obviously, you know, with him. I was gripping the seat.
So why knuckle ride?
Yeah, the only time that I had been there in that position was at the Dodgems at the fair. And, you know, and it was like, my God, he's out on the roads. We're out on the roads, and my little boy, my little baby's driving.
I've got that. We're looking at driving lessons for Catherine.
Yeah. So, yeah. Good luck with that. That's all I can say. But well, we've been very fortunate actually, because we had quite a bit of land, so they learned to drive in old bangers. But that still didn't stop my fears and my worries, you know.
No.
You wait, don't you? You go to bed, but you're waiting to hear the sound of them coming at night, when you hear that door go. You know, no matter what time it is, so long as they're home safe and sound. All part of being a mother, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. But yeah, so sleep has a massive impact, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the big moral of the story. It has a massive impact.
Yeah, and it's what we can do, isn't it, to try and get the best good night's sleep that we can.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of apps and things like that you can get now, isn't there? Like meditation, even on Netflix, there's a meditation program on there. I started watching that last week. And actually, I sort of like lay on the sofa, breathing.
Headspace, and that's it is, isn't it? It's making sure, like, you know, your room is dark enough as well, and you're not having too much light. So planning ahead, I suppose, very much like you plan your meals.
Yes. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what else can get in the way? What can impact us, do you think?
Stress is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, mood, isn't it? Like, you know, mood and food go hand in hand. I know you said that numerous times in group.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. So, you know, and we're going to talk about body magic, aren't we? So again, it's we know that sort of like body magic can help enhance a good night's sleep.
Absolutely. And help our mindset as well. You know, I love
mental health, definitely.
Yeah, I love taking like Ted the dog a walk and just going down the canal and just listening to nature. Don't have to talk to anyone. You don't, you know, you can just sort of switch off and lose yourself in like the surroundings that you're in and just go for it. Just focus. You know, it does really, really help, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It really does.
So it's really just thinking about all these things that actually can impact our weight loss.
Yeah.
And what you can do to improve it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like last week, isn't it? It's thinking about what is making you reach for those foods. You know, when we in group, we've been talking about the trigger foods, the danger zones, the self-sabotage traps, you know, they all weave in and interlink with each other. But actually, sometimes what is making you reach for those foods that we know aren't going to bring us in with those weight losses?
Yeah.
Really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah. So next week.
Yes, next week we're going to be talking about your favourite tipple, aren't we? Let's talk alcohol, because the pubs are all open now, aren't they?
They are.
I know we're not inside them, but you know, we can go, and to be fair, it's been some gorgeous weather like over the weekend, and nice and sunny
today, isn't it? It's going to be a good weekend as well, so
yeah.
No.
So we're going to be talking about that, aren't we? We're going to be talking sort of a little bit about, you know, like the different sin levels for different alcohol, you know, what our favourites are, and maybe actually what we've changed, you know, what has changed about us in our drinking habits, or, you know, whether it's what we do have now, you know, sort of thing. And then we're going to be talking about that little tipping point, aren't we?
Yes, we are, definitely.
Yeah, that point where there's no return.
That's right. Last year I did seem to sort of like, you know, I found myself tipping over a few. Well, I'm not actually falling over, but yeah.
It'll all come clear, won't it, next week?
It will indeed. All right then. So have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week, won't we?
Yes, definitely.
Take care.
All right, guys.
Bye for now. Sleep well.